The stars above the world of Varnus burned cold and distant. Below, the once vibrant cities of the Varnian Republic lay broken and silent, their glass spires shattered under the relentless siege of the Krell Dominion. Every day the skies trembled with the hum of enemy carriers. Every night the horizon burned. For months the Varnians had sent out distress calls, pleas to any who would listen. The Galactic Council had turned away, the neutral powers had remained silent, and even their closest allies had shut their channels in fear of Krell retaliation. They were alone, or so everyone believed. In the command bunker beneath the ruins of Varnus Prime, High Marshal Theon leaned over a flickering console. His scaled hands trembled as another explosion rippled through the surface above. The defense grid had failed days ago, their orbital stations reduced to drifting wrecks. Only a handful of ground batteries remained, firing blindly at the descending Krell dropships. "They have breached the lower sectors," a young officer reported, her voice hollow. "If we cannot repel them now, there will be no tomorrow for us." Theon exhaled slowly, his breath misting in the cold bunker air. "Then this is where we make our stand. If no one answers our call, we will die with our home." Yet somewhere far beyond Varnus, deep within the spiral arm of the Orion sector, another signal burned through the void, one intercepted, analyzed, and silently relayed through a web of ancient listening satellites still loyal to Earth Command. It reached a station known only to a few. Echelon Gate, humanity's most secret outpost, hidden within the dark gravity well of a dead star. On its observation deck, Admiral Lyra Vance stood before a holographic display showing the Varnian system. The Krell Dominion fleet shimmered as red icons, hundreds of warships forming a net around the dying world. Her eyes narrowed. "They've crossed into restricted expansion space," she said quietly, "and they're slaughtering civilians again." Her second, Commander Holt, glanced up. "The Council has decreed non-intervention. The Varnians aren't under Earth's protection." Vance turned toward him. "Since when has that stopped us?" The order went out in seconds. Across Echelon Gate, the alarms began to hum, a low, steady tone that reverberated through metal corridors and the hearts of those who had waited too long to act. Ships stirred from their silent berths, docking clamps released and reactors flared to life. The dark hulls of the Supreme Fleet emerged from their hidden docks like awakening leviathans. Each ship bore the emblem of humanity's return to the stars, a silver circle split by a rising sun. Within 2 hours, the fleet assembled. 8 Titan-class warships, 20 dreadnoughts, and 1,000 smaller escorts formed up around the flagship Horizon's Wrath. Admiral Vance stood on the bridge as the navigation lights aligned for slipspace entry. "Set destination Varnus Prime," she said. "Execute silent approach. We strike hard and without warning." The stars twisted as space folded around them. Back on Varnus, Theon's world was collapsing. The Krell had breached the capital's shield dome, marching through the ruins with precision. Their towering mechs cast long shadows over the burning streets. Theon's command frequency filled with screams and static. Above them, the Krell flagship Corival loomed, its vast black hull blotting out the sun. The Krell commander's voice echoed across open channels, cold and cruel. "Your resistance has been admirable but meaningless. Your species will serve as an example to all who defy the Dominion." Theon closed his eyes. "Then let our example be one of defiance." The ground shook again, but not from Krell bombardment. This time the tremor came from the heavens. Thousands of eyes turned skyward as a storm of light tore open above the atmosphere. The clouds rippled outward, forming a halo of burning white. From the rift emerged a formation of vessels unlike any the galaxy had seen in millennia. Their hulls gleamed with adaptive plating, their weapon arrays unfolding like wings of fire. "Unidentified fleet inbound," one Krell officer reported. "Transponder unknown, composition human." "Impossible," the Krell commander growled. "Humans were confined to the Sol border. They have no authority here." The transmission from the new arrivals cut through every frequency. "This is Admiral Lyra Vance of the United Earth Fleet," the voice declared, calm but thunderous. "To the forces assaulting Varnus Prime, your blockade ends now." The Krell commander sneered. "You will stand down, human. Leave or be destroyed." Vance's tone never changed. "You misunderstand. We didn't come to negotiate." At her signal, the Supreme Fleet engaged. The first salvo from the Horizon's Wrath split the void like lightning. Rail cannons the size of city towers hurled tungsten spears at near-relativistic speed, tearing through the Krell line. Their shields collapsed in bursts of plasma. The dreadnought Dauntless followed, launching a wall of anti-ship missiles that blossomed into artificial suns. In orbit, the Krell formation broke. Their disciplined line shattered under the sheer force of the attack. No one had seen weapons like these. Magnetic storm projectors that turned enemy reactors to slag, plasma lances that carved cruisers in half, and drones that moved faster than light calculations could track. The Varnians on the surface watched in disbelief as fire rained upward, not down. Inside the bunker, Theon's console flickered again. "Marshal!" the young officer cried. Look at the sky!" He stared through the shattered dome. Dozens of streaks of blue-white light crossed the firmament, each one a human strike craft descending to engage ground targets. They moved like thoughts given form, precision, coordination, purpose. The Krell ground forces tried to adapt, redirecting their mechs to the new threat, but it was too late. Orbital kinetic strikes obliterated their landing zones, and atmospheric gunships swept through the ruins with surgical fire. From her command deck, Admiral Vance watched the tactical hologram bloom with destruction. "Target their flagship," she ordered. The Horizon's Wrath aligned its main cannon. A pillar of energy lanced across space, hitting the Korval amidships. The Krell flagship convulsed, its hull folding in on itself before detonating in a silent, expanding wave of light. The entire Krell network went dark. On the surface, silence followed. The screams, the explosions, the endless thunder of war all faded. For the first time in months, there was only stillness. Then came the rain, falling gently over the broken world as if the heavens themselves were sighing in relief. When dawn broke, human landing craft touched down outside the ruined capital. Theon stood among the ashes as figures in dark armor approached. Their visors glowed faintly blue, their steps steady. The lead figure removed her helmet. "I'm Admiral Vance," she said simply. "You called for help." Theon tried to speak, but emotion caught his throat. "We thought no one would come." Vance looked toward the rising sun. "We don't abandon those who fight for freedom." As repairs began and relief ships descended, stories spread through the shattered system. Word of the battle reached the outer colonies, then the trade networks, then the distant worlds where the Galactic Council still debated neutrality. Every tale grew with retelling, how the humans appeared like thunder, how they fought with impossible precision, how they left as suddenly as they came, vanishing into the stars without demanding tribute or territory. Among the Varnians, children painted symbols of the rising sun on their shelters. The phrase "they came when no one else would" became a vow repeated in every surviving household. But for Admiral Vance, the victory was only a beginning. In the quiet of her flagship's observation deck, she watched the debris drift across the light of Varnus's sun. Her officers stood at attention, waiting for new orders. "Mark this system as under Earth's protection," she said, "and send a message to the Council. Let them know humanity remembers." Commander Holt hesitated. "Ma'am, they'll call it Defiance." She smiled faintly. "Then they'll remember what Defiance looks like." The Supreme Fleet turned, engines flaring as they ascended into the black. Behind them, Varnus began to rebuild, its people no longer alone. Their hope rekindled by those who came from a forgotten world at the edge of the stars. Across the galaxy, the message spread in whispers and awe. They thought no one would come. Then Earth's Supreme Fleet took position.